We moved into my grandparents' house in 2016 when they chose to downsize. I was 9 years old. They had built the house in the early 90s, and it sits on 5 acres just outside a small southern town. Woods and open fields spread out around it, and a slow, muddy river winds along our southern fence line. On 2 sides, our land touches the property of our only neighbors, an odd and crooked patch with a house that looked like it was sinking into the earth. That house was ancient. The original farmhouse had been built in the 1920s, and over the years it was expanded in the worst ways, as if someone stapled extra rooms together without a real plan. The siding was discolored and seemed soft. Every time you glanced at it, the wood looked wet, even when the weather was dry. The yard was a total disaster. Overgrown bushes choked with vines, broken fountains covered in weeds, headless gnomes, and old trash that seemed like it had been there forever. Grocery bags hung from the tree branches. A rusted lawnmower sat dead center in the grass, like it broke down during mowing and was just left there. It was the kind of place that made you want to hold your breath when you passed by. Back then, 2 elderly sisters named Violet and Agnes lived in the house with 3 kids. Violet was the quiet one, always sitting on the porch in a faded green rocking chair, just staring at the trees. Agnes was sharper and a little more active, but she still moved like her joints hurt. Both women had to be in their 70s at least. The children were their grandchildren. The boy, Liam, was my age and in my grade at school. The other 2 were girls named Allison and Kelsey, who were the same age as my younger sister. Liam was strange. I didn't like him and didn't want to hang out with him, but since we were in the same class, we ended up around each other a lot. He took that as a reason to just show up at my house anytime he wanted, without knocking or texting. I'd be playing a game in my room and suddenly turn around and he'd just be there. One time I looked outside and saw him doing cannonballs in our pool. Another time he came into our kitchen, opened the fridge, and started eating a slice of leftover pizza with his bare hands like it was normal. He wasn't fun to hang out with. He was obsessed with anime, really obsessed, but I didn't watch any, so I never knew what he was talking about. He'd say strange lines in Japanese and get mad when I didn't laugh. Sometimes he'd get this look in his eyes like he was imagining something violent. One time he chased me with a sharp pair of garden shears, swinging them and laughing like it was some kind of game. Another time we were on the old wooden bridge that crossed the creek near the back of our yards, and I swear he tried to push me in. He said it was a joke, but the smile on his face told me he meant it. The twins were different. They were quiet and almost invisible. Their clothes were always filthy, and they had speech problems that made them hard to understand. It was clear no one at home cared for them properly. Their voices were garbled, like they were still toddlers even though they were 7. They flinched easily and always seemed hungry. Their dad was in and out of jail, so he wasn't around. That brings us to their mom, Teresa. The first time I saw her, she was trying to hook up a hose to the spigot at the edge of their yard near ours. She was tall, much taller than anyone else in her family, and heavy-set, with long, thick, curly black hair and glasses that looked like they were from the 80s. She was different, put together in a way the others weren't. Her clothes were clean, her hair was always styled as well. She smiled at me like she'd been waiting for me to come over. She asked if I could help her with the faucet because it was stuck. I walked over and turned it easily. She gasped and clapped her hands, telling me I was so strong and how lucky she was that I showed up. I felt proud. She made me feel like I was important. Then she said, "Did you know you have a third eye?" I blinked. "What?" She grinned wider and said, "Everyone has one. Not a real eye, but a spiritual one." She said, "It lets you see the truth," whatever that meant. Before I could ask anything else, she started walking back to her house and told me to come along. So I did. The inside of their house hit me like a wall of rot. It smelled like spoiled food, mildew, and something worse I couldn't figure out. Trash was everywhere. Torn garbage bags, rotting food on plates, stained furniture, even dirty diapers were shoved behind the couch. I tried to leave, but Teresa grabbed my wrist and led me upstairs. Her room was nothing like the rest of the house. It was spotless, with pink wallpaper, clean carpet, shelves full of porcelain dolls, and fancy old furniture. The air smelled like rose water and old perfume. It felt like I stepped into a completely different building. She pointed to a cushioned stool in the corner for me to sit on, then went to her vanity and opened a drawer. She took out a silver tray with a black candle, a crystal, and a thick leather-bound book. The moment I saw the pentagram on the cover, my stomach twisted. My family is Catholic. I knew what that symbol meant, and suddenly I noticed it everywhere. In the jewelry box, on the mirror frame, even peeking out from under the rug corner, carved into the wood. I jumped up. Sorry, my mom wants me home. Bye. I didn't wait for her to answer. I ran. In 2019, Agnes had a heart attack and died inside the house. I heard she collapsed in the living room right in front of the kids. I went to the funeral. It was held in this run-down Baptist church on the outskirts of town. The family sat stiff, like they didn't know how to react, except for one woman I had never seen before. She sat in the second pew crying so loud it echoed. Nobody said anything to her. That same year, Liam disappeared. They said he tried to kill one of the twins and was sent to a mental hospital. I never got the full story, but that night my parents sat my sister and me down and made it clear that we were never to go near that family again. I remember their serious, grim faces. That's when everything started to make sense. All the strange things I hadn't figured out before. The fear, the weirdness. Eventually, the rest of the family moved away. They left Violet behind, just a frail old woman living alone in that collapsing house. She died in 2020, alone in that house. A few months later, her estate went up for sale. One of my old elementary school teachers, Mrs. S., bought the place with her husband. They tore down most of the house but kept the original 1920 section, the same area where Teresa's room had been. Mrs. S. invited us to see the renovations. The house was beautiful, an open floor plan, brand new appliances, fresh paint. She took us upstairs and my skin started crawling. We stood in her room and I could feel it. Even with the new carpet, I knew the pentagram was still under there, like the floor remembered. I felt sick, like something was watching from the walls. I told Mrs. S. I had a headache and needed to go. She was disappointed. I was supposed to stay for dinner. After that, I avoided the house until last year. Mrs. S. asked me to dog sit while they were out of town for a week. I said yes, thinking it would be an easy job. Quick money. Each night I rang the doorbell and they unlocked it remotely. Their dogs, the Shih Tzu named Muffin and a snorting pug named Henry, greeted me, tails wagging. The first 4 nights were calm, peaceful even. I fed the dogs, played with them, turned on the porch light, and locked up when I left. But on the last night, I was about to leave when Henry began barking at the staircase. He planted his little feet and barked over and over. Muffin backed away, whining. There was nothing there. Then came a thump from upstairs. Another thump, even louder. I didn't stay to see what it was. I ran to the door, slammed it shut behind me, and locked it. The entire walk home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. Now it's 2025. We hadn't heard anything about that family for over 4 years. That is, until recently. A girl at school said she saw Teresa at a farmer's market in a nearby town. Supposedly, she started some sort of religious group. She calls herself a truth seer. They live in a mobile home park far out in the woods. Flyers have started appearing on bulletin boards and telephone poles. I don't trust any of it. I don't trust her. I believe Teresa is truly evil. I mean, she neglected her children. She left her mother in that house to rot. And I think she brought something dark into that house, something that stayed there. I still have nightmares about her and Liam. They stand at the foot of my bed, staring without speaking. And every time I pass that house, even now, I get chills. The new paint, the furniture, it's all just surface. That house remembers, and I don't think it ever let go of what happened.